This is the OGBOOKS Accounts Receivable menu. Let's start by looking at the Age Receivable report to see who owes us money. You can age the report choosing whatever dates you want. You can choose individual customers or all customers, receivables regarding any or all properties, and charges to any or all expense accounts. Almost all of these invoices were generated in the JIB module, but here's one that was generated here in the Accounts Receivable module. You can tell because it is not associated with any specific property. We'll talk more about AR generated invoices in a few minutes. At September 5th, it looks like most of our receivables are current. It looks like a few haven't paid their July 31st yet. Nothing outstanding from April, May, or June. Looks like somebody hasn't paid us in quite a while. Let's figure out who it is. Aha! We'll need to check this one out and see if there's a problem. As you can see, the Aged Receivable report is pretty useful in analyzing your receivables and staying on top of your cash flow. Here is a deposit I sent to the bank this morning. Click Enter Cash Receipts. Enter the information from the first check. Since this is payment for JIB invoices you previously sent, click JIB Payment. If you want to apply the payment to the oldest invoice, the next oldest, and so on until the payment is totally applied, click Yes. Assign a batch number for the deposit. As you can see, the system has applied the payment to the appropriate invoices. Click Save and add the next check in the deposit. In this case, the owner overpaid by mistake. The system applied the payment to all outstanding invoices and issued a credit, which will show up on his next statement. Enter the third check. This time I don't want to apply the payment to the oldest invoice. Click to manually apply the payment. Look up the outstanding invoices for the owner. Click on the invoice you want to apply the payment to. Save. This morning, a lady from another company across the hall came by and asked if we had a printer toner cartridge we could spare. We had one she could use in our supplies inventory, and she gave us a check for $98.37 for the cartridge. Since this check is not a payment on an outstanding invoice, click on Payment Type Other. Click Add to apply the payment. Enter the amount and select the general ledger account to be credited. This is a check for oil and gas sales and can be entered either as a revenue check or as other, depending on when and how you would prefer to enter the revenue detail. If you enter it as a revenue check, the system allows you to enter the revenue detail as you are entering the deposit. Sometimes operating expenses might be withheld from the revenue checks you receive. If this is the case, type in the amount withheld here. Then add the revenue detail from the check stub. And save. The last check on the deposit slip is also a revenue check, but we prefer not to enter all of the revenue detail at this time. We'll do it through the revenue module at the end of the month or whenever we want. So now I'll select Other. And credit the receipt to Pending Revenue Receipts. You can then list the deposit batch, and if everything looks good, post the deposit. The system automatically clears the accounts receivable, makes the appropriate entries to the general ledger, and posts the deposit to the checkbook listing. Use Enter Miscellaneous Invoices to create invoices you don't want to charge to a particular property and distribution list through the JIB module. For example, we sublease part of our office space to another company. Just video. And just like in the joint interest billing module, you don't have to keep a hard copy of the invoice. You can recall it anytime you want. You can print the open receivable statement for any or all of your joint owners or customers. You can run balance forward statements for any owner or range of owners. We usually attach these statements to our joint interest billing invoices. We've already looked at the aged receivable revenue receipts history. AR Recap Report. This report shows detail and summary history of invoices billed, payments received, and the revenues applied for each owner. As you have just seen, the OGBOOKS Accounts Receivable module makes it easy to manage cash receipts and receivables, no matter how complicated the situation.